forgot my scissors. Just a minute. I'll be right back. Forgot the scissors. Alright, there we go. Don't want to forget the scissors again. I lost my scissors last week. Oh. I cannot keep my glasses clean to save my life lately. Glasses are gonna have to come off this morning. Just melting off the tips here, and then I'll get started. Sorry folks, got a little bit of prep work I gotta do before I get started this morning. Do a kick flip. That's not gonna work out well for anybody, my guy. Doing a kick flip. No, with this body in this economy, are you kidding me? I can't afford to go to the hospital. Hey, what's up? Somik, I am just melting off the ends of this paracord. I've got to wrap some stuff and here later on, so just getting this done real quick, and then I'm gonna cord wrap a dagger here in a second, and then I gotta wipe down some stuff behind me that's in tung oil, and then we're gonna cord wrap a monkey cudgel. I gotta cord up some Kopo yawara palm sticks. I gotta loop up some Tenarashi tessin. Bunch of other stuff. Made you pop. My work here is done. Much appreciated, Kit Kats. You're doing the good work. Appreciate it. Keep it up. Don't burn down my house. I'll try not to. Luckily, I'm not in my house right now. I'm in my shop, but I'm not gonna burn my shop down either. I kind of need my shop, so. How's everybody doing at this ungodly hour this morning? You guys up early or up late? Or in another part of the country where it's neither? Or another part of the world, not country. I'm still waking up. Diddy is lurking. Not today, Diddy. Not today. There will be no freak offs here, although we don't kink shame here. But no, we're not doing any freak offs. Poop well soon. I appreciate the well wishes on that there, twin breed. Oh, Kit Kat, you're in Scotland, middle of the afternoon. Good to know. Dipper, 7:30 in the morning. Oh, okay, so Dipper, you're on the East Coast with me, I guess. 6:30 a.m. in Wisconsin. I'm your favorite trans channel. Thanks, my guy. I appreciate that, John. How long have I had a mohawk? Probably a couple years, maybe. Not long. Oh, thanks, Amy. Idaho, hey, what's up, Seth? Welcome. Oh, my good gracious. Anyway. Yeah, I've had this mohawk for a couple years. My son and I had this whole thing. We were going to go get mohawks together. Long story short, I ended up with a mohawk and he didn't. So, so yeah, but I liked it, so I kept it. Mohawk toi. My favorite rapper. I don't really have one. Chicks dig kick flips. Good to know, Kit Kats. I'll work on that. And I'm not really in the market for any chicks these days, but I'll keep that in mind. We got a Maori style dagger I made out of Kummeru wood. This wood is awesome, by the way. I talk about it every time I work with it. If you've been here before, you've heard me talk about Kummeru wood. It is awesome stuff. It's right up there with ironwood. It's got a Janka hardness of 3,200 to 3,700 pound force. If you're gonna make a stabbing weapon out of wood, it's a great wood to use. It is not cheap, however. I got lucky, and a fellow woodworker that I know had a bunch of extra from a project that he did, so I was able to get it from him for next to nothing. But yeah, this is crazy expensive stuff. But I try not to work with anything that makes things unaffordable in my shop. So I normally don't work with it, but I was able to get this batch of Kummeru wood for like very, very cheap. So I decided to go for it because I've always wanted to work with it. And I'm kind of disappointed though. I made a Maori dagger a couple weeks ago out of yellow heart wood, and I had it up on the shop. And then the other day, I was going through my inventory just to check, make sure I had everything in stock that was on the shop before Black Friday. And that yellow heart Maori dagger is missing. I don't know what happened to it. It's just not in there. I don't know if I dropped it somewhere, or when I went to the craft fair, if it somehow found its way off my table. I don't know. So I made another one out of Kummeru wood. I didn't have any more yellow heart, so. Gonna be stippling time soon, yep. You're a stick harvester? I am as well. I live in Florida, so most of my stick harvesting I do after hurricanes. It's been a good couple of years. This year we didn't have any hurricanes, thank goodness. But the last 3 years before that, we've had multiple hurricanes almost every summer. And in my community, I am known by some as the Mohawk chainsaw guy, because after a hurricane, I toss my chainsaw and axe in the car, and I go out and help clear the roads of the neighborhood so people can get in and out of the community. Then I go door to door to my neighbors, make sure everybody can get in and out of their house. And the upside for me is that as I'm cutting up those trees, I'm able to grab some wood. And it's usually good stuff like southern live oak, mango. Every now and then I get to harvest some bamboo. Steak for a vampire. Yes, this would also work as a steak for a vampire. I make those as well. My shop boasts probably the largest selection of vampire steaks you're going to find anywhere online. I'm a little obsessed with old school Hammer films and vampire movies. So I really like making vampire steaks. This particular one, though, is a replica of a Maori dagger. A wooden Maori dagger. But I do make vampire steaks. But honestly, any wooden dagger is a vampire steak if you try hard enough. Does anybody been on my live before know what the #1 rule is, though, if you're gonna use a wooden stake? There's a rule. I give the rules for staking vampires all the time on here. The #1 rule is you need at least 6 inches of stabbing tip to get from through the sternum and into the heart. If you don't have at least 6 inches of stabbing tip, you're just gonna piss the vampire off. So that's why you got to be careful with using stuff that's not designed for fighting vampires. Because, like, I'm not sure. This might be enough. That might be enough. That might be close to 6 inches. But if you've got a very muscular or overweight vampire, you might not get there. Pine and oak. I work with pine and oak as well. Most of my stuff, that's probably the most common stuff I work with, is pine, oak, and poplar. But I do get exotic woods every now and then. I try to work with a lot of different woods. I work with purple heart, padauk, zebra wood, oak colme, hickory, canary wood, kumaru, ipe, ironwood. Work with all kinds of stuff in this shop. Kind of depends on what it's going to be used for. Oh yeah, same. The smell of sawdust never leaves my shop. Actually, I should just say the sawdust never leaves my shop. I have 2 air scrubbers and a dust collection system, and yet I am still constantly cleaning up sawdust in my shop. It is a never-ending battle. And this is supposed to be my finishing room, and I have this little partition over here, this drape, to help keep the sawdust out of here, but it doesn't, it helps a little bit, but I still have to wipe this table off about once or twice a month because it just gets covered in sawdust. All right, there we go. There's our Maori dagger. Make a silver tip and a garlic core. You know what's funny? I actually had thought about getting a smelter, and I've got some like old school sterling in the house. It's not really worth much of anything. I've thought about smelting down some of the silver handles on some of that silverware and doing some silver tipped stakes. But right now, I'm not really financially in a spot with the shop yet to invest in a smelter. I'm hoping next year. Because this year, I'm just kind of recovering my shop. My shop got hit with 2 hurricanes last year. And we were on Etsy, and then Etsy kicked us off in December for selling eskrima sticks, which is hilarious, because they said it violated the rule on batons, which I'm not quite sure how an eskrima stick is a baton, but whatever. So I've been rebuilding the shop's following on eBay this last year. It's been taking a little while to get things back to where it was, but we'll get there. Oh yeah, shillelagh. Heck yeah, Blackthorn's awesome. Yeah, I actually did a custom shillelagh probably like 3 or 4, maybe 3, I think it was 3 years ago, maybe a little less than that. It was really nice. The guy actually had some Scottish or some Irish blackthorn, and he sent it to me, and I shaped it out into a shillelagh for him, and it was green, still kind of green wood, so I was able to do like the torching on it, which makes it look awesome. Like blackthorn, when you torch it, it just turns it like obsidian black. It's really beautiful. And then gave it a nice tung oil finish. That was a good time. I was really proud of that shillelagh. And then I tried to make one here in the States. I liked the idea of the shillelagh, but I didn't have any blackthorn, so I thought I would try to make it out of oak. It didn't really go great for that. Like, it was not great making a shillelagh out of oak. Blackthorn's definitely the way to go. All right, let me go put this over here with the finished stuff. Be right back. All right. Now I gotta wipe down some things real quick. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. I'll be right here, honestly. You'll still be able to see me. I just gotta wipe some stuff down with my trusty sock and t-shirt. So all of my bow kin get, and most of my practice weapons get, a double coat of tung oil. because they're all guaranteed. So I try to make them as strong as possible. Speaking of as strong as possible, this is a boken made from Kummeru wood. That's the wood that I said earlier has a Janka hardness of 3,200 to 3,700 pound force. I call this one my shop's unbreakable boken. It has a 5-year no break guarantee. I impact tested the first one of these that I made, and holy crap, you guys, it didn't even take a scratch. And I was smacking it against the side of a 4x4 with about 1/8 of an inch of padding on it. And this Kummeru wood didn't take a dent, not a scratch, nothing. And the nice thing about this Kummeru wood is it's heavier than oak, so your boken is way closer to actual sword weight. I'm trying to get these boken wiped down. I've got that was a Shoto. This is a Daito boken. This is just regular red oak. These are my more cost-effective boken. Still guaranteed though. All of my boken come with a minimum 1-year guarantee. If they break when they should not break, I replace them free of charge. You don't even have to return the old one. All you got to do is send me a message with a photo and just tell me how it broke so that I can figure out if it was a mistake I made. Sometimes, you know, wood grain doesn't get configured right. I do my best, but sometimes it's hard to tell. Or if it was a flaw in the design. And if it's a flaw in the design, I want to be able to fix it. Because, like I said, I guarantee all my stuff. And I want to make sure it is as durable as possible. Making vampire weapons, not right now, but I do have vampire weapons. I make all kinds of weird shit, my guy. I make practice weapons, I make vampire stakes, I make cosplay props, I make custom zombie apocalypse battle bats. I make all kinds of weird shit. That's kind of my shop's jam. Boken, yes, wooden sword. Boken is just Japanese for wood sword. Bo is wood, ken is sword. This channel is Warrior Wooden Props. That's what this channel is. Just looking around. I run a shop where I make weird stuff. And I go live twice a week. Once when I do my staining work on Saturday, and another when I do my finishing work on Sunday. Oh, something got stuck in the tongue oil on this one. Let go. There we go. And so on Sunday mornings I come here live and I do all my final touches on all of my stuff. I know it's not the most exciting thing in the world to watch a middle-aged man oil and buff and cord up stuff, but it's what I do. And these are Tenarashi Tessen. They are sparring and practice war fans for Tessen Jutsu and Koppo Jutsu. And there are some other martial arts that also use them. And I got, if I can reach it, there we go. And I also make like tribal weapon replicas. This isn't necessarily a weapon. This is a Fijian, Polynesian style fish knocker or fish bopper, also known as a dispatch stick. When they get the fish out of the water, they give it a whack over the head to stun it so they can put it out of its misery more humanely. Thank you. Appreciate that, Ruar, brah. Do I make paddles? Thanks a lot. I don't make like regular paddles. I do have Musashi ore paddle boken that I make. that are based on the Miyamoto Musashi ore boken. I have some of those on the shop out of oak and white ash. The one that, the white ash ore, the one that I have left, is probably the last one I'll be able to have because I'm running out of white ash and it's hard to get. Sorry for looking over my glasses. I have bifocals and they suck. My eyesight is shit. All right, now I got, last thing, I got a couple of Purple Heart palm sticks we're gonna cord up this morning. One more. Just gonna wipe these down. I got them in the tung oil this morning. They're about ready to be worked with, but they got to get wiped down to make sure there are no bubbles or anything in the tung oil. Oh yeah, and then these are my Viking wasters. These are my Boohurt version for my armored combat guys. These don't get tung oil. These get mineral oil instead. Because it makes it more likely to dent instead of crack. The armored combat guys are constantly hitting each other with these, and because they're wearing armor, you have sharp edges, and sharp edges tend to cause cracks in your waster. So the mineral oil keeps it softer on the outside, and they're able to use these. They just have to re-soak them with mineral oil every now and then, and they're good to go. My wasters are also guaranteed, which is why I have some groups here in Florida, some armored combat groups that are big fans of my stuff. I sell to them every now and then. Honestly, not too often because my wasters last so freaking long. My wasters last so long that my armored combat guys only buy from me when they need them, which isn't that often. Am I a woodsmith? I guess. Probably. Kit Kats, that's funny. It's a lot of headbutting and kicking people while they're on the ground. Fuck you! That's everyone's favorite Scottish martial art. Fuck you! It's mostly just headbutting and then kicking people while they're on the ground. You're a woofsmith? That's cool. Working with dogs is awesome. We have a lot of animals in our house. Only one dog left. All of our dogs have gotten old and passed on except for one. Pippa. That's she's a Chihuahua Jack Russell mix. Luckily she's old now, so she doesn't run all the time like she used to. What do I make, Woodpecker Steve? I make all kinds of stuff. The easiest way to answer that question is I make weird shit. I make martial arts practice weapons. I make primitive weapon replicas. I make cosplay props, vampire stakes, palm sticks, boken, wasters. I mean, if it's made out of wood and it's a weapon, I probably make it. I also do props out of plastic foam, stuff like that. I make con-safe props. I also make custom zombie apocalypse battle bats. I've made some pretty cool bats for some influencers here and there. Like I've made Nugs the Final Girl, who does horror movie reviews. I made a bat for her that she uses in her videos. Refashion Hippie, who's here on YouTube. She has a fashion channel. I made a Balenciaga spiked baseball bat for her. I'm looking to peck your wood. Thanks. That's awesome. And now, yeah, I don't do like very normal stuff. I have in my day job, I work in home renovations where I work on stuff like furniture restoration, countertops, floors, stuff like that. But I don't really do much of that online. Ugh. Okay, a little smudge there. There we go. Nice and shiny now. Let me take my glasses off so I can actually see. You love wieners? Like dachshunds or? That's funny. So this is a Copal yawara, also known as a palm stick or a danban, some people call them. Kubutan. It's not really a Kubutan, but most people seem to think they are Kubutans. The Kubutan's a very specific thing. It was invented by Tak Kubota. It's an augmentation of your fist. Your fingers go in the middle cord there to anchor it to your palm, and you've got a fist pack plus something you can smack a mofo in the temple with that will make them rethink their life choices. Oh, English Bulldogs. You know, man, like I got so close to getting an English Bulldog. I had a guy that I knew like probably about 7 or 8 years ago. He had a litter of English Bulldog puppies, and holy shit, you guys. English Bulldog puppies are some of the cutest freaking things I've ever seen in my life. I almost walked away with a puppy then and there. I was like, oh. But we had way too many animals at that point. We did not have room in the house for another dog, or I probably would have gotten one. Here we go. There's our Purple Heart. Do I hunt? Not anymore. It can do some catastrophic damage, absolutely. Do I hunt, Leland? I used to hunt. I mostly did deer and hog, but not so much these days. I just don't have time, to be honest with you. Poke someone's eye out. Please don't poke anyone's eye out with my stuff. I don't want to go on the news like that. Oh, I know. Like, freaking English Bulldog puppies. Their little faces are all smushed in. Oh, my God. They're freaking adorable. And this is a Polynesian fish bopper, also known as a dish patch stick. You use this when you get the fish out of the water. You give them a tap on the head to stun them. Well, more than a tap, honestly. And that way they will stay still and you can cut their gills without worrying about getting your hand cut by the fins. There we go. And this is Hawaiian rosewood. It is super, super hard stuff. It's Hawaiian rosewood. Purple Heart scraps. Yeah, you can see it again. This is Purple Heart yawara. It's just it's a 6-inch by 1-inch width. The thickness is about 3/4 inch, and then you taper off the ends until you have at least a 1/2 inch or less on the striking tip. You always want a 1/2 inch or less. You want to distribute the energy into that tip. So you want the ends to be about a 1/2 inch taper. And then you just drill the holes, sand it, seal it, and put some cord in it. But yeah, this one sanded up to 1,000 grit. I do my yawara up to 1,000 grit so they have that really pretty, shiny mirror surface. My boat cannon wasters, I don't sand up that much anymore because I want to make sure they last. Nothing for grip, not really. You have the cord for grip. The cord holds it to your hand. So you don't really need anything for grip because it's anchored. Now, I do have a different design of yawara that I make in my shop. My shop's the only shop that makes that design, where it tapers down in the center so that when you grab it, it pulls it more into your palm. But these are more the traditional style. But with that anchor cord, you don't really need anything for grip. All right, we'll put these over here, and we'll get these Tenarashi Tessin corded up. Come here, you. Stay where I put you. There we go. And then we're gonna do a center wrap on this Monkey King cudgel here in a minute. Wukong cudgel. Hey, thanks, Woodpecker Steve. Appreciate it. Yeah, no name. That's kind of my thing with weird stuff. I got the dangly doos. Hey, thanks, Lignum. Appreciate that. Thanks for the subscription. Toast guy, what does a dangly do? That sounds hilarious. I don't know what it is, but I love it. I love the sound of that word, dangly do. That's awesome. This is a Tenarashi Tessen. These are used mostly by people who study Tessen Jutsu, which is a martial art in Japan. They also used by people who study Koppo Jutsu, Kobudo, and I think there's some traditional Japanese Jiu-Jitsu styles that still use this. Oh, thank you, Kit Kats. Hey, thank you, Kit Kats. I love that. Thank you. I appreciate you subbing. You have your own wood shop, Lignum? That is cool, man. I finally got my own shop about a year and a half ago. I started off in one shop. I was in that shop for about a year. Actually, I guess it's been a couple years since I've had my own shop. I used to work out of my garage, but my neighbors were about to go nuts on me. So I rented a shop, a very small shop to start out with. And then we had a hurricane 2 years ago, or a year ago, that flooded that shop. And then I moved into this bigger shop. And then 2 weeks after I moved into this shop, we had another hurricane that blew out the window, the front window of this shop that's to my side over here. And absolutely just, it didn't flood, but it blew shit all over my shop. I'd only been here like 2 weeks. Well, I love having my own shop. And then my shop is in the same building as my day job. Also, the company I work for is literally right next door. So it comes in handy. I can come in here early in the mornings. I get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning every day, 5:15. I come to the shop, do some prep work, go do my day job. If I have stuff I need to paint, I paint that during the week. Because I can paint it in the mornings and leave it set all day while I go work. I got some candy cane stakes I'm going to be painting this week. I was hoping to get them painted yesterday, but I ran out of time. Stop living in danger spots. I know. Yellow heart, not you, Lignum. Yellow heart. This is yellow heartwood right here. It's called yellow heart, obviously, because it's yellow wood. And then this one here is white ash. But I got lucky earlier this year. White ash is really hard to get here in the U.S. because we have this invasive species, the emerald ash borer, that absolutely just devastated the ash trees and forests here in the U.S. So you can only harvest ash if the tree is felled by natural means. And one of my vendors, they had a guy. One of my vendors runs like a mobile sawmill. And they had a guy earlier this year. He had a big ash tree on his property that got felled in a storm. So they went over there with their sawmill and harvested the entire tree. And I was able to get my hands on about 10 to 12 pieces, good pieces. Actually, I'd say 12 pieces. 10 of them were good pieces. I've got the last 2 pieces are in the shop. I've got to figure out what to do with those because the grain's not properly configured. If you notice on this, the grain, see how the grain's configured from the top down to prevent cracks? A lot of the other boards I have grain that's crossing, which is an issue. I need to cut into them and see how that grain is going to travel. And if it's still traveling across, then I won't be able to make any big stuff out of it. I'll probably just have to make yawara and stuff out of it because the longer you get, if you have cross grain that's not configured properly, that's a weak point and that's going to cause it to break. Baseball bat? Yes, I make baseball bats as well. I make weird-ass baseball bats. I mean, yeah, basically a slapjack, that's about the same thing. These are Tenarashi Tessen. They're supposed to mimic the size and shape of an iron war fan when it's closed. War fans used to be used by samurai as like a tertiary weapon or as a disciplinary tool. They'd smack their subordinates over the head with it. However, those iron fans weren't cheap. And so a lot of them came up with the idea of creating either iron or wood tenarashi, which means a practice stick. Obviously, the samurai aren't around anymore, but there are still some Japanese martial arts that use these. They're also just really pretty. Wood bat legs, nice. But yeah, I actually order my blanks from a Blembat distributor. They're just blanks that didn't make it through the quality assurance process. Usually they're fine for what I do. They're still functional. If I get one that's warped or doesn't have proper grain configuration, I'll toss it or I'll cut it up and make something else out of it. But for the most part, probably 99% of the bats I get are still usable. And I turn around and I make weird shit out of them. I've made axe bats, barbed wire bats, nail bats, spike bats. I made a machete bat last year with a machete blade embedded in it and spikes around the sides. It's pretty cool. I'll show some of the bats off. I keep meaning to bring, I have a Wolverine and Deadpool bat at home that I need to bring back. I had it over there for a craft fair I was at. And I keep forgetting to bring them home. Hang on one sec. I've got one other thing I want to get you guys' opinion on something if you guys don't mind. So I've got these new bokken that I have some Nimpo guys, ninjutsu practitioners who they normally buy my shoto short bokken because they're kind of similar to a ninja toe, but it's not quite the right dimensions. So they asked me if I would make a straight up ninja toe bokken. So I did. It's got the ninja toe angled tip. This is way stronger than any store-bought ninja toe bokken you're going to get. 36 inches with a 10-inch handle, so you have the proper dimension for a ninja toe with the longer handle and shorter blade. The only thing I'm not sure of is if I should do a handle wrap on these or just leave them blank. I've been thinking it would be cool to maybe do like a black jute cord wrap on the handle. I don't normally handle wrap my bokken, but I was thinking since they're ninja toe, maybe I should. I don't know. What do you guys think? Should I just leave it blank or should I do a jute cord wrap on the handle? Jehovah's Witness whackers. Hey, what's up, Alan? Welcome. What do you guys think? Give me an opinion here. Should we wrap the handle or just leave it be and let the buyer decide if they want to wrap the handle? I don't really mind either way. I'm just trying to decide. It's a brand new design. I haven't even impact tested it yet. I always impact test when I have a new design. It's not that different. Really, the only thing different is the tip and the dimensions, but still gonna do a diamond carve on the handle. No, I don't do any of that kind of stuff. Every time you carve into wood, especially if it's going to be a practice weapon, you're creating a weak point. Thick cord, and then you don't want to do thick cord because you see this, you have a palm well here to index so that you know, and when the cord's too thick, you won't be able to feel the index for the palm. I could do some black jute cord though. Jute cord I don't think would cause too much. It's kind of like what I did on the dagger. Yeah, the reason I don't use thick cord is it's just, I don't know. I'm leaning towards leaving it bare, but I don't know. Looks good like this. All right. You like it unwrapped, Jocafe? Fair enough, guys. I will leave them bare then. Most of the time, people just wrap the handle on their own if they want to. Personally, when I get a bokken, I just put athletic tape on the handle or hockey tape. I find that works better. It helps the wood on the handle stay a little stronger, and it gives you a little bit better grip. Big fan of athletic tape. All right, so that's all that stuff. So now you guys, we got to do this Monkey King cudgel. Yeah, carb tilt creates friction as well. It creates heat in the wood, which when you have like seasoned wood like that, you don't really want to add heat to it because it can make the wood brittle. So I don't normally do heat on my stuff unless I'm working with green wood. I get orders all the time for daggers and stuff, and people want me to fire harden them. And if they insist, I will. However, I always tell them, like, this is already seasoned wood. If I fire harden this thing, it is going to remove all the moisture that's left in that wood, and it's going to be brittle. Some people, they just don't care. They think they've heard the term fire hardening. They don't really understand what it is, and they just want it done. So I'm like, all right, I'll do the fire hardening process on it, but I don't really recommend it. Now, if it's green wood, if it's wood that isn't seasoned yet, 100% do the fire hardening. It works great. But if you've got wood that's already seasoned, you don't need to be fire hardening. It's as hard as it's going to get. Yep, snap indeed. That is exactly what you get. If you ever watch Forged in Fire, that's a great example. If you ever watch Forged in Fire, a lot of times they'll do pole arms and shafted weapons on Forged in Fire. And I've seen so many times the guy will make this big, strong, beefy, like, shaft that looks really, really good. Then they take a blowtorch over it to give it tiger stripes. And I'm thinking, dude, you just took all the moisture out of that wood. And sure enough, they go to test them, and 9 times out of 10, the ones that have used that blowtorch on their wood, their metal holds up fine, but the pole itself breaks, and they end up with a catastrophic failure. That's what sucks. Because it really sucks when you're doing a blacksmithing competition and it's your wood that causes you to fail. So yeah, do not recommend doing any kind of fire hardening on already seasoned wood. You're just making it brittle. All right. So this, let me back up so you guys can see. I sold a Monkey King cudgel this week. So I gotta add another one to the inventory because I tend to sell quite a few of those over the holidays. So I want to make sure I have a full inventory of those. I make 2 different kinds of Monkey King cudgel, one with bronze studs and brown paracord. And I make another one with brass, more gold colored brass studs and gold paracord. The brown paracord one originally was the big seller with the hammered bronze studs. But for some reason, it seems like the gold one has started to outpace that one for some reason. I imagine it has something to do with the video game Black Myth Wukong, that there must be like a gold cudgel or something in that one. Because it's funny, I made these, I started making these probably about a year before Black Myth Wukong came out, and I'd usually just have one in stock, and I'd make one when I sold one, because I didn't sell them that often, mostly to Kung Fu people. And then all of a sudden, I couldn't keep them in stock, so I started making like 3, 4 at a time, and they were just constantly selling. I couldn't figure out why, so I did a Google search of Wukong, and that's what came up, the Black Myth Wukong game. And I'm like, oh, okay. That's why people are suddenly super interested in Monkey King stuff, because there's a video game. All right, I think I've got enough here for this, I hope. We're going to find out. Sorry guys, that's always hard to unravel this paracord. All right, let's count it out and see if I've got enough length to do this. Lignum vitae, you know what? I worked with it once. I don't come across it super often, but it is an awesome wood. Yeah, oh yeah, it's amazing. Lignum vitae has that cool, like, incense smell to it when you work of it. Yeah, very oily. A lot of the hardwoods are, though, like Ipe, Kumru, Pal Ferro, Lignum vitae, all that stuff. A lot of it's very oily, which is why it's so strong, because it doesn't lose its moisture. That oil in the wood keeps it from getting brittle and helps keep the cells closed and the grain tight, which will help the wood stay strong. Also makes it heavier. But yeah, most of the colored woods, Purple Heart, black walnuts, Padalk, that kind of stuff. A lot of that stuff's fairly oily. 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Cool beans, we got enough. Let me do this real quick so this thing stays put. Yeah, Rosewoods, yeah. Rosewood's another one that's super strong. This, that fish bopper, I'm also working on a Polynesian war club. That's actually where the wood came from that, because I had to cut it down. My original design was for a 4-foot long war club, and I took it out of the shop to do a quick test on it to see how it handled, and 4 feet was way too long. It was too heavy, too unwieldy. It looked cool, but looking cool doesn't really help. So I cut a foot off of it and made that foot into that fish bopper. And hopefully next week, I'm going to be able to finish that Polynesian club. 2, 5, 6, 7. Sorry, I'm just getting the kinks out at this point. As I always say in my shop, I'm cool with any kink except when it comes to paracord. And that's a terrible joke, and I apologize for it. All right. Push that over there. But yeah, no, lignum vitae is good stuff. All right, let's see. Make sure. This is one of the few items where when I cord wrap, I do use adhesive just because it helps keep the cord wrap in place. Hey, what's up, Robert? How you doing? All right, let's see here. Make sure I got my lines up here. Yes, I do. Give me 1 second, guys. This first part's kind of the important part, because if it's not lined up right when I start, it will not be lined up the entire way down. You got a bulldog machete? Nice. I make practice machete wasters in my shop. I've got a couple in stock right now. Most people, I sell those mostly to people who do like Kali, Eskrima, and a few other martial arts. They use the machete. There are a surprising number of those, believe it or not. All right. Hey, no worries, Lignum. Thanks for hanging out with me. Take care. Ooh, bayonets. Bayonets are fun. One thing I've been thinking about making are some replica World War I trench clubs. Those trench clubs, what I love about them is in World War I, a lot of guys would bring their own kind of melee weapons with them to the trench in form of clubs. They were not standard issue though. Most of the guys, they'd make them at home and bring them with them to the war zone So you had all kinds of really interesting designs. You know, you had guys doing stuff like taking like giant lug nuts and hammering them down onto the bats, and yeah, guys that use spikes and nails and all kinds of crazy stuff for those trench clubs. There's some pretty cool designs out there. I've had a couple I've had my eye on making for a while. That's probably going to be a project for the spring. Oh, Guam, cool. This, Jim, this is a Monkey King cudgel. Is that a comb over bald spot? No, my hair's just thinning. You know, I'm getting old, man. I am missing a screw, Randy, yes. Am I good? Yes, Jimmy, I am. Thank you. But yeah, just takes about 80 times around to get this whole thing wrapped. So then when I get to the middle, I give it, oh no, that's not good. I got a kink. There we go. I gotta give it one more thing of adhesive when I get to the middle, and then I'll give it one more dab of adhesive at the end. Oh, hey, thanks, Robert. I appreciate that. Thanks for the subscription. Hey, Brandon, we are doing finishing work at Warrior Wood and Props this morning. This is a Monkey King Wukong long staff cudgel. I'm just doing the center cord wrap on it right now. It's got brass studs and a center wrap of gold paracord. Give it that cool kind of Monkey King look. This is mostly a cosplay prop. However, it is made from poplars, so it is fairly functional. I wouldn't use it for regular sparring, but just because it would handle it, but it would probably just mar it up a little bit unless you just want it for that. But if you're wanting it pretty for cosplay, you know, it's good for forms practice and demos and cosplay and stuff like that. But like I said, it could be used for impact training. I feel like there are better options for that. You know what, man? I often ask myself that question. I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about most of the time. Hey, thanks, Roadrunner. I appreciate that. Nova Scotia. Hey, welcome. But yeah, man, I also, LNH, I also don't know what the fuck I'm talking about a lot of the time. So I appreciate your question. If you ever find the answer, please let me know. The Monkey King, by the way, one of my favorite characters in mythology. That dude was probably one of the most OP guys in all of mythology. He was pretty much immortal. You know, like, and that's what I love. If you've ever read Journey to the West, great book. Highly recommend it, by Wu Chang'an. Awesome book. It takes a while to read, but, and, you know, it's written in the kind of that older style, so it's not the most exciting. But, like, throughout that entire book, like, it's just, like, for the first half of the book, like, every chapter, Monkey is just doing more and more shit to make himself invincible and immortal. He's got, like, all kinds of stuff that makes him stronger. And then on top of that, even after he ate, like, the peaches of immortality and did a bunch of other stuff to make himself invincible and immortal, he goes up to the freaking heavens and erases his name from the book of life and death. So now he just straight up can't die. Oh, thanks. Yeah, dude, I love this shirt. Thanks, Brian. No, Mike, you can't mess with my mood, man. I ain't got time for it. I don't have time to be sad. I'm too busy. But you know what's funny about this shirt? I have no idea where I got it. So, like, probably about a month ago, I got a new backpack, a new laptop bag. And so I was emptying out my old laptop bag, which I've had for years. I've had that laptop bag. And as I was cleaning out the pockets, this t-shirt was in one of the pockets. I have no freaking clue where this t-shirt came from. It was in one of the pockets of the backpack. And what's horrible is I don't know if I bought it. I don't know if it was a gift from someone. I have no clue. I think I probably went to, like, Comic-Con. I do lectures at Comic-Con every year. at Tampa Comic Con, and I think maybe I went to Comic Con and bought it and just shoved it in my bag and forgot that I bought it, or worst case scenario, someone gave it to me as a gift. I shoved it in my bag and forgot about it. But either way, I love this shirt. I'm sad to know it was sitting in my bag for all that time, as I've only had it in my possession for a few weeks now that I've known that I've had it in my possession. I can replace Steve on Blue's Clues. Hey kids, we're gonna make vampire steaks today. T-shirt, a movie. As far as I know, it's just a dragon reading a book. I have no clue if it comes from anything. No idea. I don't even know where I got it. I just know that I have it. This last part always sucks because this is such a long staff that it tends, I can't set it up on my stool because it will hit the ceiling, which I don't want it to do. I can't set it on the floor because that's too low for me to see. Oh, don't you kink up on me now. There we go. Oh, come on. Set. There we go. I just got to keep it tight. Tight! Because if you have even one spot where you have too much slack, it takes the tension out of the friction fit and it won't work. One more round and then it's time for the last run of adhesive. And then I can finish and tie this bad boy off. And then we'll finish up today with a little show and tell. What do you guys think? And grab some stuff from the inventory if you guys want to see it. Got a few new things I could show off. I got an Atasi War Club. Yeah, I can show off a few, or at least a couple of battle bats if you guys want to see them. I think I've only got one or two here at the shop. The others are over at the house. I can show off some of my vampire steaks, whatever you guys want to see. And I can also show off some yawara. I've got a bunch of different styles of yawara I can show off. You guys let me know during show and tell what you guys want to see. Show me what you got. I will show you what I got new here for sure. Some weapons, you got it. Weapons I can do. I got a lot of those. Almost there, folks. Come on, one more. One more around and we are good. Got to make sure this is pulled as tight as possible. There we go. There we go. Oh, thanks there, Big Brock. Yeah, we were just talking about the shirt. I have no idea where I got it. I found it while I was changing backpacks. It was in my old backpack. Apparently it had been there for years and I have no memory of how it got there. What sucks is I know probably one of these days someone's going to be like, oh, hey, you're wearing the shirt I bought you. And I'll be like, that's where it came from. Or I bought it for myself and forgot I bought it. That's also definitely a possibility. There we go. We melt off this end here so we have a nice pretty little bow. There we go. Now we got a pretty little bow on the top. All right, hold up. Let me step back here so I can show you guys what this looks like. So there we go. That is my Monkey King long staff cudgel. It's got the gold paracord in the middle. Going to set this off to the side. Oh, man, it is early. All right, so I'll go grab some weapons from the inventory room. So let me clean up this area a little bit. Apparently I need to get more gold paracord, because I think that is not going to be enough to do another cudgel. Poplar, yes. I do make some things out of poplar. Or as I used to pronounce it, poplar. I pronounced it poplar for the longest time because I had this whole thing where I'll see words that I haven't heard said before. So I just decide how they're going to be pronounced. And I pronounce them wrong until I hear someone else say it and be like, oh my God, have I been pronouncing this wrong all this time? And the answer is usually yes. It's what comes, it's like the curse of being an early reader. Like, I've been able to read since I was 3. And I think that the problem when you're an early reader is you get used to just figuring out how you think words sound. That is popular? Oh. That's funny. All right, let me go take a look. I'll be right back. All right. What's up, people? I brought some weapons and a battle bat. This is the only one I've got to show off right now. This is the axe bat. I call it the no-brainer. It is a white ash bat with a fluorescent orange paint job, reverse stencil where it says no-brainer, and a table saw blade that's been cut in half and embedded in both sides with industrial epoxy and plumber's putty. I have impact tested this. It holds up just fine to watermelon. I don't know if I would be smacking wood with it, but it's. I also set it where the teeth face down on both sides so that no matter which side you're swinging it from, the teeth move in the direction of the swing. That was a proof of concept. I had a custom order for a guy who wanted an axe bat from a video game called Days Gone. His didn't look like that. His had just regular wood and athletic tape on the handle. And North Louisiana out in the wood. I'm looking for a walnut sapling to place a sledgehammer head. You're brushing the creep head. Oh yeah, nice. But yeah, this is completely functional. It's on sale on the shop right now. But anytime I get a new custom order, I usually make a proof of concept first so that I know I can do what the customer's asking for. I had not made a bat like this before, so I made this first to make sure it would work. And then I made his custom. I've made all sorts of bats. I've made Lucille, Negan style barbed wire bats. I've made all sorts of those. I've had weird requests for like themed Negan bats. I've done a Hello Kitty one. Excuse me. I did a Nightmare on Elm Street Freddy Krueger one. I did a unicorn bat with like a horn, like an LED light embedded in a resin horn that I made and embedded that in the side of the bat. I've done spike bats. I've done machete bats. You name it, I've probably done it. Walnut and black walnut. Dude, I tell you, that's my issue. I can't work with black walnut anymore. It kind of sucks. I used to love working with black walnut. I still have some pocket yawara made out of it on my shop that are still up for sale. But I can't work with it anymore because I got juglone poisoning like last year. And I cannot work with black walnut for like 3 years. Or possibly ever. Hey, what's up, London? Welcome back, man. Good to see you again. Oh, Lily Poplar's good stuff. Oak's also good. Welcome back, London. Good to see you. More LED ones. I don't have any LED ones in stock right now, but I do make them. Uh, it depends on what they want. For that one, she wanted a unicorn horn that was pink with glitter. So I made a pink glittery resin and put that in a unicorn horn mold. And then I put an LED light with the wires down inside the resin, let that set up. And I put a threaded bolt down inside the resin also, let it set up. Then I drilled a hole in the bat, embedded I screwed the threads into the wood with some epoxy, and I put a switch on the cords and taped and glued that to the bat. It had a little watch battery you could switch out. When you had a switch, you could turn the horn off and on. It was really cool too, because that spiral pattern in the horn made the light kind of move in a cool way when you turned it on. Hey, London, welcome back. Good to see you. Hi. So anyway, here's some of my other stuff. This is what I was talking about earlier. These are the kind of palm sticks or yawara that I make in my shop. These are my shop's design. No one else makes these. They have a palm taper in the center. What that palm taper does is when you grip it, it makes it pull into the center of your hand so that you get a much better grip. The palm cord's obviously there, and it helps you not lose it, but you can still get some slippage with a palm cord even. So with that taper in the center, it removes any slippage from this. So you have a much more secure grip. The only difference between this and like my traditional pocket yawara is these have to be 8 inches instead of 6 in order to get that taper right. Jay Wright said, Fred, it's just a mohawk, my guy. I'm just too lazy to spike it up these days. Wow, that's crazy, Robert. And then this is a Polynesian Hawaiian pahoa dagger. This was a stabbing weapon that the Hawaiians used. This one is a replica of a museum piece from the 18th century from Hawaii, or 19th century. I think it's 18th century. From Hawaii. It is Kummeru wood, super strong stuff. It's got a nice little tapered handle for grip. It's got a conical tip. It's probably one of the few wood stabbing weapons that I've made that you could probably use this multiple times. Most wood stabbing weapons are meant to be one and dones. The pahoa was not designed that way. The pahoa was designed to be able to be used over and over. This is like, for example, this is an Apache dagger, Apache fighting dagger style, made from wood. It's also a replica piece. It's a fighting knife. It worked well for stabbing. It's American hickory, but this would probably only work 2 or 3 times probably. I mean, you could get multiple stabs in, but I wouldn't imagine, like, probably after one fight with this, it would be done. Perfect for the brainstem, 100%. And then you got these. These are my fancy vampire hunter daggers. They get distressed. They get cut up and scored before I stain them. These are also made of hickory. They're meant to look old and weathered, like they've been used in a fight before. But yeah, these are, I have different kinds of these. I have ones that look like this. They're stained and distressed. I have other ones that are pretty and nicely sanded, and they have tung oil on them. These are meant to look old and weathered. Yeah, I can grab a few more things. You know what? You guys want to see Konami wood? Oh, Kona wood? Yeah, Kona wood's great. Speaking of stuff for the brainstem, hang on a sec. I got some other things I want to show you guys. Give me 1 minute. Be right back. All right, here are a few more items here. Let me set these down real quick. So these are assassin stilettos. I also make these out of that Kummeru wood. So the Hassansen, which is where we get the word assassin, a lot of people say Hashishin or Hashashin. Most likely that it's debated by historians where the word assassin came from. The leader of the cult where we got the word, his name was Hassan, and his followers were referred to as Hassansen. But also the Western world said they smoked opium before they went on missions, which doesn't make a lot of sense, or hashish. And so they said that they were called Hashishin, which is where we get assassin. Doesn't really make a lot of sense. Hassansen makes more sense. Most likely they made that up. I can't imagine going on a hitman mission after smoking opium. Like, not exactly going to make you the best assassin. You're smoking drugs before you go. But these type of stilettos were common among assassins. They had them in metal and in wood. The wood ones were used as one and dones, most likely because it's very easy to go up, shank a dude under the ribs, and then you run, you get away, you put this in a fire, and you can forget about it. It burn up in the fire, very easy to get rid of. When you twirl the vampire thing, what do you mean, how does it not dig into your skin? I don't understand. Yeah, no opium before a hitman mission. That doesn't sound good at all. Yes, the 12 silent killing technique. Yeah. And, but yeah, I have a few different lengths of this. This is one of the longer ones. I have one that's closer to 12 inches. I think this one's 13 inches. But yeah, it was a very quick get in, get it done, get out, get rid of the weapon, and disappear. Because most people didn't know Hassansins were assassin. They were kind of like ninja in that sense that, you know, you could be talking to one of them and have no idea. They were really good. Hashish before hitman mission, not opium. Right. But I don't believe they smoked hashish either. Hashish has opium in it. But yeah, no, I don't believe that they did that. I think that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. That you're going to have like a special forces style assassin you're going to send in high on drugs. That doesn't seem like the best way to get success, you know? I feel like most historians feel that the Western powers kind of made that part up to make them seem more sinister than they were. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying that's what they said back then. I don't know. I don't think modern hashish has opium in it. I'm not sure what modern hashish has in it. But I'm saying what was written about them back then was that they smoked hashish with opium, and that's what caused them to be so fearless, which is ridiculous. This is one of my... Wow, not knock myself over. This is a vampire hunter sword that I made, just kind of for shits and giggles. It's made out of white ash. It's more of a rapier style weapon. It's very thin, but well balanced and strong. Good for a quick stab between the ribs. For vampire hunters that study more of the fencing type stuff. Just hash, yeah. Diabills, yeah. Yeah, that's that. See, that's what I always thought. Like, it would make more sense to have an assassin on some kind of an amphetamine or stimulant would make more sense. And I think a lot of that comes down to in the past, in history, you had a lot of people write stuff about drugs who had never actually taken the drugs, so they didn't know anything about how the drug worked. Like, for example, in Sherlock Holmes, they always talked to Sir Arthur Conan Doyle always wrote about how Sherlock Holmes would use cocaine, but he wrote that cocaine would like make him sleepy, and I'm like, that's not how cocaine works at all. Does silver harm a vampire? In most lore, yes. Not in all of it, but in most lore, yes. Silver's a pretty common material across the board for supernatural creatures. Usually as a weapon, it works against werewolves, vampires. There's plenty of fairy folk that silver works against. Iron's the same. You see iron works against werewolves as well in some of the older lore. Like, I love the old school werewolf lore because some of it, like, for example, if you wanted to make a werewolf transform back into its human form, you had to throw an iron bar directly over the werewolf's head. And according to the older lore, that would work. I don't know if I want to test that, but that's what the old lore said. But iron, salt, and silver. You see that a lot in lore. I just did a book on supernatural creatures for DK Publishing year before last, and that's a surprisingly common elements across the board for fighting supernatural creatures are silver, iron, and salt. Those three tend to work. Yeah, garlic, Jefferson Starship. I also wrote the mythology of Supernatural, by the way, which Flavored Pop-Tart there is quoting Supernatural. I actually wrote a book called The Mythology of Supernatural about that show. I love the Jefferson Starships episode. It was hilarious. Because they're horrible. I don't know what can kill a Jefferson Starship. I don't even remember. It's been a while. Speaking of vampires, though, this is my vampire bat. It is a baseball bat with a stake tip. I've got a few of these. I only list them one at a time because I don't tend to sell them very often. I made these as a joke a few years ago. I sell a few around Halloween most of the time. The Wizard Merlin visited you in your time of need, Morgang. Awesome. Yes, I did make that stuff, Ja. Thank you for the question. Do I have a battle axe? I do not. Might have been Odin in Merlin mode. Well, Odin was known to disguise themselves. Looks like a pig's joint. Yeah, Supernatural's awesome. Flavored Pop-Tart, don't freak out. But I actually went to junior high with Jensen Ackles. We both went to Apollo Junior High in Richardson, Texas, together. I am not friends with Jensen Ackles. Calm down, okay? I only went to junior high with him. I was a weird, awkward kid. He was an athlete and very popular, obviously. He and I did not run in the same circles. It was just a weird twist of fate that I ended up writing a book about a show he was on. What else do I got for sale? Oh, I mean, holy shit, dude. There's a lot. I have like 150-something items in my shop, and I'm adding like several new ones today. Let's see. I've got some stuff over here I can show. I've got Boken. This is my Kumaru Boken, my unbreakable Boken. The hardness on the wood for this Boken is 3,200 to 3,700 pound force. If you ever want to buy a straight edge Boken that you will never have to replace, this is the one. This Boken comes with a 5-year no break guarantee. If it breaks under normal use within 5 years, you get a free replacement or a refund if I don't have a replacement to give. I also have wasters that I guarantee for up to a year. These are mostly used by armored combat and boo herd guys. These are my Viking sword wasters. This particular design is my standard design. This is pretty popular with my armored combat guys. I don't use tung oil for it. I use mineral oil instead. They prefer the mineral oil because it softens the outer layer of the wood, makes it more likely to dent than crack. When you're fighting somebody who's wearing armor, there's a lot of edges to armor, and that can often cause cracks on the edges of your practice sword. So the mineral oil helps it just dent instead of crack. And then when they're done, they can put it in storage. The next time they're going to pull it out to use it to spar, all they've got to do is soak it down with some mineral oil again the day before, and it's ready to go. Any other supernatural weapons? Oh my God, I got so many supernatural weapons. What type of wood? This is just red oak. Robert, this is just red oak. For the Boken, most of my Boken are red oak. I have some out of white ash and Kumaru as well. Or Kumaru, sorry. Kumaru, C-U-M-A-R-U. It's a Brazilian wood, I think. Probably one of the hardest woods you can find. How can you buy? Blue Dog, if you go to my bio, there's a link tree. In my bio, go to the eBay store. In my bio, you can see my entire inventory on there. You can also go to warriorwoodandprops.com. You cannot buy anything on that shop right now because Shopify screwed up something over the summer, and I have not been able to access my shop since July. And Shopify sucks because I can't get a hold of a person to actually help me figure out why my shop won't work. So You don't understand the product? Just weird shit, my guy. Yes, like Sam and Dean Supernatural. Yep. Yeah, I wrote a book on that show. Gosh, probably like oh God, no, more than that. Probably about 15 years ago. Good God, it's been a while. Called The Mythology of Supernatural. You can find that on Amazon or any bookstore, really. The Mythology of Supernatural. I also wrote a book called The Mythology of Grimm on the NBC Grimm TV series. I wrote a book on supernatural creatures. It's a kid's encyclopedia for DK Publishing about 2 years ago. And I just finished Legendary Heroes last year. That's out now. That's also a kid's encyclopedia on legendary heroes. Right now, I'm working on them with the last one in this series of encyclopedias for kids called The Unknown, which is just about like it's kind of like unsolved mysteries kind of a thing. Oh, Sam and Dean, that's awesome. Yeah, yeah. And weirdly enough, I went to junior high with Jensen Ackles. He and I didn't hang out, but it was so weird. It was like a surreal experience when my publisher came to me and asked me if I would do the book. I was like, sure. So I started watching Supernatural, and for some reason, Dean Winchester looked really familiar to me, and I could not put my finger on it at first. And I'm like, I think I might have gone to school with this guy. So I went back and looked through my yearbooks, and I was like, yeah, there he is. It is Jensen Ackles. Yeah. So yeah, we went to school together. We did not hang out, though. Winchester, that's cool. Your son's middle name's Winchester. Yeah, dude, Supernatural fans are pretty awesome. To be honest, that book, probably my best-selling book to date. Supernatural fans are amazing. I love them. I'll tell you what, let me go grab some of this stuff, put it away. I'll see, I've got some more supernatural creature fighting type stuff. Let me go grab it. I'll be right back. All right, so there's no way I'm showing you guys every possible steak and thing that I've got in the shop right now. There's just too much of it. But I've got a few things I can show off right now. So this one is the one that always gets everybody's attention. I call this the Reaper. It is a spear slash staff slash staking hammer. So you can swing this into the vampire, or if they're laying down, you can swing it down into the vampire's chest. It also has a staked spear tip on the front, so you can just stake straight ahead if you need to. This is maple on the handle. The hammerhead is a piece of natural southern live oak that I just left rough and shaped off the tip and gave it a coat of polyurethane just to keep it stable. And has a black paracord handle. This is up on the shop right now as well. Yeah, I've also got another one that's similar. I call it the sagging cross, where it's got a double-ended hammerhead. Oh, hey, what's up, God? Yeah, I'm just some weird middle-aged guy that makes weird shit. Did the vampire? No, stroke that wood. You would be surprised how often I get wood stroking jokes on this channel. I get those a lot, my guy. This is, let me buff this off real quick. It's been sitting in storage, so it's a little dusty. This is a Purple Heart double-ended vampire hunter sword. It is sanded to 2000 grit, wet sanded to 2000 grit. So it has a very pretty glass smooth surface. It has bladed edges. and a stabbing tip on both sides, and a real leather, cow leather handle. But yeah, it's pretty awesome. I really enjoyed making this one. This is one of the more expensive ones that I have on the shop. Yes, we do love to stroke the wood, my Shozy guy. We do. Us woodworkers, we have no choice but to stroke the wood. We're stroking it every day. If you weren't Canadian and broke, no worries, Zeal for real. Maybe one day you won't be broke. I hope you're always Canadian, though. Because I like Canadians. Y'all are good people. For the most part. As far as I know. I've never met a Canadian I didn't like. This one is a fence post stake. I actually made, I had a request for a custom similar to this. So again, this was just a proof of concept on that custom. So I had an extra one. So that one's up on the shop. This is one of my Buffy the Vampire Slayer replicas. Oh, thanks, Super Pants. Appreciate that. This is one of my Buffy the Vampire Slayer replicas. This is from the movie, not the series. So if you ever watch the end of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, in the end, she shows up to like her prom when the vampires attack with like a duffel bag full of stakes. And I swear to God, it's like she grabbed every piece of wood out of her home and just sharpened it. Like by the time she gets to the final boss, she's got like a 12-inch ruler, like a straight up ruler, and she's sharpened into a stake. But so this was one of the stakes that was in that bag in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. You don't like Trudeau and Carney? Well, that's y'all's problem. I don't know. I got no dog in that fight. And this is one of my natural wood stakes. Really like these. I make, like I said, when I harvest wood from hurricanes, whatever can't be used for big stuff, I tend to make into vampire stakes. This one is Southern Live Oak. It's been stained dark with a Jacobine, I don't know how to say that word, but a dark stain. And it has a natural jute cord handle. On camera, this jute cord, for some reason, comes off as looking gold. It's not. It's just a natural jute cord that's not been dyed. Hey, Cyborg, what's up, my guy? Welcome. Good to have you back. Nice to see you good. So anyway, yeah, that's anybody got anything else they want to see? Can't think of anything else that I've got to show off this morning. Oh, I got a couple things I can show you guys. I got some works in progress that'll hopefully be done by next weekend. I can show you guys those. I've got this Polynesian War Club I'm working on. We were talking about Hawaiian rosewood earlier. That's what this bad boy is going to be, a Polynesian club. It's already mostly shaped out. I do want to take a little bit of meat out of this curved part right here, and I need to shape up the handle just a little more. Tiger shark teeth are going to be embedded on this flat edge right here, and then I'm going to get a row of shark teeth on this inside edge here. This was 4 feet long. I cut it down to 3 feet because 4 feet was just too much. It's much more easy to swing now. The 4 feet one was just too much weight. Rosewood is not light. So yeah, so this one will hopefully be done next weekend. I was really hoping to get it done before Black Friday, but I just ran out of time. So I'm hoping to get that one done. And it doesn't really matter for my shop. My shop's having a 15% off sale for the entire holidays. So there's no Black Friday thing for my shop. It's just 15% off from now until like December 16th. And speaking of the holidays, so in honor of the lovely holiday season, I am also making candy cane vampire steaks. I call them Santa Slayer. So these have gotten their white coat. I'm going to tape these up hopefully today, and this week I'll get the red stripes painted into them, and they will be ready to go. And then they're going to get like a green jute cord wrap just over this part right here so that you've got a grip inside the curve. So you know, if Santa Claus was a like if there was a Santa Claus vampire hunter movie, this would be what you would end up getting. Hey, what's up, third door? Yeah, Shozy, it is. Yeah, rosewood, very heavy stuff. And because it's a club, I wanted to make sure I used it. It's like 1.5 inch thick, very thick stuff. Actually, it might be 1.25 inch thick. It's very thick. Oh yeah, these are going to be awesome when they're done. I'm going to sell them as a set, as a pair. I had this idea last year and I didn't have time to get it done, so I didn't have the idea until like the week of Christmas. So this year I was like, I am making them before Christmas. So these should be on the shop before Black Friday. I just got to get them painted this week. But yeah, they're going to look awesome when they're done. They're going to look so cool. The Santa Slayer stakes are going to be awesome. Hey, put these back. Oh, man, what a week. A good Resident Evil sequel? Yeah, that'd be awesome. Santa Claus comes to Raccoon City. This time it's personal. I always think it's funny, like in the 90s, 80s and 90s in action films. You always had the first movie, right? And then they do a sequel a lot of the times of action films. And they always had that tagline for the sequels. They're like, this guy is back. And this time, it's personal. Well, that's about all I've got to show off. Is anybody got any questions or anything else they want to see before I sign off for the day? Man, we've only been on for 90 minutes. I'm normally we're at like 2 hours. I did not think it was going to be that quick today. I figured it was going to take me a lot longer. So I've still got 30 minutes allotted. So Nemesis in a Santa hat. That would be freaking amazing. That would be so funny. You know what? Nemesis in a Santa hat with like one of these, or a giant pair of like candy canes. It would be even funnier. It's if like Nemesis had like a giant candy cane and he puts it in his mouth and like sucks on it until it comes to a point, and then he uses that as a weapon. You wish you needed to sleep. Yeah, sleep is important, my dude. Sleep is so important, Shozy. I don't get nearly enough of it. I work 3 jobs, so I'm up at 5:15 a.m. every single morning. No matter how late I stay up, I have to get up at 5:15 a.m. because I don't get days off much. I'm going to get some days off around Christmas. I'm going to take the 18th to like New Year's Eve off, probably. Maybe like a couple days before that. It is too many jobs. It's way too many jobs, I know. But like I used to be a marketing copywriter up until about a couple months ago. I had been working with an AI at my job per my employer's requirements. And then I was laid off and replaced with the AI they had me train. So I decided I'm done with being a marketing copywriter. So I work in home renovations now. We do floors, countertops, furniture restoration, that kind of stuff. Mostly paint kind of thing. We do custom murals, all kinds of stuff. Then my second job is writing books for Penguin Random House. I write those. Yeah, that's not too bad. I only do maybe like 1 book a year, so it's not a big strain on my time. And then I have this shop. So my day job takes up most of the week, and then my shop takes up my weekends for the most part. I managed to get a little bit of time in. Usually Saturdays I try to hang out with the family, and then Sundays when I get home, I go home from here, I take all the new stuff home, I put it on the shop, and then I make myself some food and I watch a bad movie. It is Ninja November right now, so I've been watching bad ninja movies all month. I haven't decided what new ninja movie I'm going to watch today. If you go over to my Instagram, I have Instagram. I'm at NadarBrown37. I don't do the movie stuff over here. But on my Instagram, I do bad movie reviews. I feel like there's plenty of people doing bad movie reviews. It's not really something I'm doing to try to be like a bad movie influencer or anything. I just love bad movies and I like to share them. So, but it's Ninja November, so I've been sticking to bad ninja movies. I think that not on Thanksgiving, but Thanksgiving weekend, I think I'm going to do a Sho Kosugi movie marathon again. I've done those a few times. I love Sho Kosugi movies. They're amazing. Beverly Hills Ninja. Oh, no. No, I think I've done that one already. And, oh, yeah, that was pretty rough. Yeah, Beverly Hills Ninja is a rough one. It's funny, though. But my favorite Sho Kosugi movie when it comes to his less well-known and more horrible ones is 9 Deaths of the Ninja. If you want to see an absolutely unhinged ninja film that's kind of still, like, watchable, 9 Deaths of the Ninja is amazing. Oh, Farley was always sweaty, man. He was, I mean, considering how active he was in that movie while weighing, like, what, 300-something pounds? I mean, pretty impressive. Considering he could do that much activity being that heavy. It's pretty impressive to me. But fun fact about 9 Deaths of the Ninja, though, with Sho Kosugi, is the bad guy in that movie is played by a dude named Blackie Dammit. And Blackie Dammit is the father of Anthony Kiedis from Red Hot Chili Peppers. Which is the weirdest information. I have that information in my head and I never know what to do with it. Blackie Dammit was in a bunch of really weird, bad movies in like the 80s and 90s. And he was the Red Hot Chili Peppers lead singer, Anthony Kiedis. That's his father, is Blackie Dammit. You can tell too. They look kind of similar. But he always plays just absolutely. He goes completely over the top with his performances. He plays like an evil German guy in a wheelchair with like a monocle and everything, and it's hilarious. 9 Deaths of the Ninja. If you've never seen it, highly recommend. It is so good. Absolutely unhinged, but so good. And if you want to see what I consider the best ninja movie ever made, also with Sho Kosugi, highly recommend Pray for Death. Pray for Death, in my opinion, is the greatest, like, good ninja movie ever made. I will die on this hill. It's so good. It's a revenge story. It's about an immigrant who comes to the U.S. trying to leave behind the violence in his life as a ninja. He brings his family to the U.S., tries to live a peaceful life, and gets caught up in like a whole thing with corrupt cops and organized crime. And his wife and his children pay the price, so he goes full, like, fucking rage mode and just starts effing motherfuckers up with ninjato. Oh, thanks, Josie. I appreciate that. It's very nice of you to say. I enjoy doing the lives. Like I said, I only get to do them a couple times a week. I've thought about trying to incorporate something in the middle of the week. I just haven't been able to. I do share photos and stuff every now and then when I'm on jobs. It's hard for me to do live streams or share on my jobs. I work in a very affluent section of Florida, Boca Grande, Venice. I work in very high-end neighborhoods. A lot of them don't want cameras in their homes, so I can't really like do videos or anything. Every now and then I can get a picture off, you know, if they say it's okay, and I'll do that. I usually share pictures of what I'm working on. Like last week, I was on a scaffold 10 feet in the air painting a ceiling. That was fun because I'm scared to death of heights, you guys. I have acrophobia, and being 10 feet. Oh, thanks, Cyborg. I appreciate it. Being 10 feet in the air on a scaffold, not where I want to be during the week, people. I like my feet on the ground. I am cool with that. But I had to spend all last week up in the air on a scaffold. Not a fan. Not a fan of that at all. But it's my job. So you don't, as I used to say in the military when I had to do stuff in high places, you don't got to like it. You just got to do it. It doesn't really help, but I try to convince myself that it does. It doesn't make me less afraid. It just kind of helps me deal with the fear. Yeah, so you know what's funny, Shosi? The stealing I had to do last week, what happened was they did the downstairs ceiling beams in oak, right? And what they had originally told the builders is what they wanted to do was do the ceiling beams upstairs. They wanted to paint those black. So the builder was like, okay, well, we'll use poplar then instead of oak because that's going to be cheaper. So they used poplar to make the ceiling beams. Then the homeowner changed their mind and decided they wanted all the beams to look the same. And oh my God, dude, my shoulders and back. I'll talk about that in a second. But and so what they decided they wanted us to do was do a faux finish on the poplar to make it look like oak. So I've been up there basically putting a primer over all the, because poplar can go from bleached all the way to like a dark green. So I had to like prime over all the dark green stuff so that we can paint it next week and do a little roller on it to make it look like oak. Hey, don't worry, Cyborg. I'll probably be here for about 10 more minutes. Oh, I know, Shozy. It was no fun. But my shoulders, dude, because, you know, on a ceiling, I'm just constantly, there's no way to do a ceiling without lifting your hand over your head. And by the last beam I was doing on Friday, I kid you not, dude, I was holding my arm up. Just like holding up my arm to paint the last one because my shoulder was just out. It was done. Yeah, painting ceilings, not fun. It definitely took its toll. My poor boss, his neck, because you have to look up, you know, we're constantly craning your neck. He's a little older than I am. He's in his 60s. And so, you know, like having his neck like that really messed him up. But yeah, painting ceilings, very difficult. I prefer floors. Floors are way easier. All right, guys, let me put some of this stuff up. Let me know if you have any questions or show and tell requests while I do this. And I will knock those out before we finish up for today. All right, I'll show these off in just a second. Let me put a few more things away. And we'll look at these last few items, and then unless someone's got something else, I gotta call it. But let me put this stuff away. Be right back. Thank you. Sorry, it's hard for me to carry you guys with me when I go over to the inventory room. All right, so, hey, welcome back, Cyborg. Glad to have you back. So this, speaking of yawara, these are my donbong or tanbong style yawara. They have a longer reach. I have this one of oak. These are 10-inch oak. This allows you to use it as a butt weapon, but also as a baton. This is the Korean style one. This is used in Hapkido. The donbong in Hapkido, they only, very rarely do you see it with the palm cord, but I prefer it with the palm cord. I think it gives it, but they tend to be flatter and have more of a flat, wide profile. And it's used for throat strikes, head strikes, and also you can use it for wrist locks. If someone were to grab you, they use them for wrist locks. And then these are my exotic wood versions. This one's Ipe, which is as strong as, if not stronger than Kumaru. This is ironwood, basically, Ipe. It's great stuff. Very, very strong. Has a similar Jenga hardness to Kumaru. It's also prettier. It shines up really well. It's got a darker grain to it. Suck it. Kubotan, yeah, actually very similar, William. Thanks, Kelly. Appreciate the engagement. But William, yeah, the Kubotan is more of a very specific thing. There's this guy, Tak Kubota. Awesome dude, by the way. He's passed from this earth, but Tak Kubota was kind of a legend in karate circles. He used to teach hand-to-hand combat to the Japanese police after the war. He would also teach self-defense. He was one of the guys also that kind of popularized women learning martial arts in Japan, because up until that point, that wasn't really a thing you saw as much. And when I say martial arts, like they still studied stuff like archery and things like that, but like having them do like judo, karate, that was more unusual in Japan until Tak came around. He encouraged women to learn karate. And he taught martial arts and hand-to-hand combat to the cops in Japan, because obviously after the war, the police could not carry firearms. And even to this day, the police don't really carry firearms in Japan. So they had to learn to use their fists to protect themselves and do their job. So Tak taught them to use the yawara, which was like this, you know, the tombone yawara. And, but he realized that like, this was not really super useful for what they needed. They needed something a little easier to carry, a little less obvious. So he created the Kubotan keychain, which is his last name, Kubota, with the word baton kind of mixed together. So his Kubotan keychain, and what it was, you know, it was inspired by the yawara, but the thing he changed was, instead of the cord, you had two metal rods that protruded from between these two knuckles so that you could punch forward with it. And that acted as your anchor, because it kept it in your palm, because of those rods were coming out between the fingers. But yeah, the Kubotan keychain is pretty cool. But yeah, this is what the Kubotan keychain was based off of, basically. The Kubotan was kind of like an evolution of the Kopo Yawara and the Donbong and the Tambon. Yeah, you're welcome, William. Thanks for the question. It's Australian. Thanks, Josie. I know. I love when people come in here and they're just like, suck it. Like, thanks, dude. Like, I don't know what I've done to offend anyone, but I get people that come here all the time and they'll just be like, suck it. You suck. I'm like, get off the stage. I'm like, oh, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. What wood do I use most, Cyborg? Probably oak. I mean, oak is the most available, reliable wood, so I use oak a lot. Either I use red oak or southern live oak. I also use a lot of poplar. To be honest, in my shop, I probably work with 3 to 5 different wood types a week. You know, it depends on what I'm making something for. You know, if it's a club, I'm going to make it out of hickory or rosewood. You know, if it's a stabbing implement, I'm going to make it out of ipe or kummeru or hickory, something that's going to last. You know, it really depends on what it's being used for. You know, like my stabs, poplar work great for those, especially the cosplay stuff. I don't really need them to be super strong. But, you know, like it just depends on, you know, what people need and what their uses are. Like the kummeru wood boken that I make, you know, I don't use that for boken very often. But I do use it to make boken because they're awesome. Like the last boken you're ever going to need will be one made out of kummeru wood. That stuff is amazing. But oak is probably just, you know, because the nice thing about oak is I can go to just about any hardware store and they're going to have oak there. Same with poplar. Like, you know, it's not going to be difficult for me to find poplar or oak at a hardware store. Where do I get my wood? I get it from different places. For stuff like, you know, like this, where I'm using natural wood. I live in Florida. We have a lot of hurricanes. After hurricanes, I go around with a chainsaw and axe. I help my community out. It kind of is a win-win for me because I can go around. I can help clear the roads, help people get in and out of their driveways, get down trees out of the way, and I can harvest wood that way. I do buy oak and poplar only, but I buy that at like Lowe's, sometimes Home Depot. As for all of my exotic woods, for the most part, like my Padauk, Yellow Heart, Purple Heart, Zebra Wood, Okome, that kind of stuff, I get it from Barrington Hardwoods. Barrington Hardwoods is an awesome vendor. They're not sponsoring me or anything. They're just who I use, and they're awesome. They've never steered me wrong. My hickory, I also get the thicker hickory I get from them. My my thinner hickory that I use for like daggers and stuff, that's actually hickory pallet wood that I buy from a pallet wood resupply company. It's still great wood, and it would just go into the chipper without it. So I prefer to refurbish wood if I can. But yeah, that's where I get most of my wood is Barrington Hardwoods and Lowe's. Barrington also, they have a mobile sawmill, so sometimes they have woods that you're not going to see very often that'll come into stock. So I buy some of it. I forage some of it. I also get wood gifted to my shop sometimes. Like I said, I work in home renovations during the week, so I know a lot of guys that are doing work on, you know, ceilings and countertops and furniture and stuff like that. So if they're replacing wood, 9 times out of 10, the homeowners out there, they just want to toss the wood in the trash. They just want to get rid of it. So somebody will call me and be like, hey, so I've got Ipe or I've got Kumaru or I've got some wood that they're going to toss. Do you want it? And I'll come by and grab it. I'm able to recycle a lot of wood that way. Really good wood that would have gone to waste. The nice thing about Boca Grande and Venice and you know, Manasota Key and places where I work is that these are fairly affluent neighborhoods and they use expensive woods to do stuff, man. These are people with like mahogany doors and Ipe fences, and you know, they've got ebony inlays in molding and stuff like that. It's insane, some of the stuff you see. You know, you got teak furniture out on their pool decks. You got, you know, they have nice wood. So I'm able to recycle and repurpose a lot of wood, really nice wood that would have otherwise gone in the trash from jobs that I work on or people that I know work on. They let me come and get wood from them. I try not to purchase wood if I can avoid it, because, you know, I don't want to add to the problem of deforestation. So I try my best to be as sustainable as I can in my shop. I try to buy wood that's going to be repurposable. And if I can't do that, then I will purchase the wood. But I always try to look for a recycling option first. Just because, you know, as a woodworker, we want to make sure we're being sustainable with our stuff, because if we're not, then these woods that we love are not going to be here. You know, stuff like ash is already endangered. You know, we've got purple heart, yellow heart, all that kind of stuff. Stuff like Kumaru that comes from Brazil. You got rainforest woods that we got to make sure that we are being sustainable, because otherwise we're not going to have them. So I try my best to do that. I try to have as little of an impact in my shop on that as possible. Sorry, that was a really long answer to your question there, Gemini. Anybody else got any questions before we wrap it up today? I really appreciate you guys. You guys have been an awesome group this morning, by the way. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. K-Cat, Cyborg, William, Gemini, all you guys. Who else was in here? I think there was somebody else that I knew who was in here earlier. Who else came back? Shozy, thank you. Third Door, Eel Reel, Super Pants, More Gang, Blue Dog, all you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. The questions were awesome. Where is my shop, Cyborg? I'm on the Gulf Coast of Florida. My shop itself is in a town called Inglewood on the Gulf Coast of Florida. That's not where I live. It's just where my shop is. The name of my shop is Warrior Wood and Props, same as my YouTube channel. You can find a link in my link tree in my bio to my eBay store. I do have a main website. I do not recommend using that right now because it doesn't really work. Unless you want a custom order, you can go to my website, warriorwoodandprops.com. There is a button at the top of the home page to contact me for custom orders. So if you are interested in inquiring about a custom order, you can use that, or you can just go to eBay, look at one of my listings, and send me a message through that. You'll come here to my shop, Cyborg? You're going to come to Inglewood? Hey, Gemini, I'm happy to share. Thank you for hanging out with me this morning. You gonna come hang out with me, Cyborg? You're more than welcome to, man. I'm here by myself all the time. Mostly on the weekends. I spend most of my weekends in this shop. Oh, my goodness, you guys. Man, the time I thought I was going to need a lot more time this morning, but I really didn't. Anybody got anything before I wrap it up? I'm going to go start putting this stuff away. And I'll be back. All right. Best of luck, Cyborg. If you find me, you're welcome to come over. Just come in peace, my friend. All right, you guys. Let me go put the Reaper up, and then I'm calling it a day. So if you got any questions, stick them in the chat. Now's the time. I gotta call it. But everything you guys saw on my live this morning will be listed. If it's not already listed, will be listed on the shop later today. Everything in my shop, Warrior Wooden Props, on eBay is 15% off until December 16th. So get them in now. If you need a custom order in time for Christmas, the cutoff for that, for my custom orders, will be December 2nd, okay? So if you need a custom order, like a custom baseball bat or something, and you need it in time for Christmas, I need to have it submitted to my shop by December 2nd so that I can get it done in time. Because a lot of people try to come in last minute, and I can do it, but it won't be there in time for Christmas. So if you need a custom order, definitely let me know about that as soon as possible. Everything on the shop, though, is available. You can check out the link tree in my bio. Everybody, thank you. What was I holding? Looks like a hot dog. That was the yawara, I think. That's a Donbon yawara. It's just a longer version of the yawara. But anyway, I'm heading out. If you like what you saw today, like, subscribe, all that jazz. And if you're interested in anything that you saw today, you can find links in my bio. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with me. I'm out of here. I'll see you next weekend. Take care.